Well, I remember when my father used to take me, like we'd go from Cranleigh Villa, where we lived at the time, by the Cranleigh Hotel,
Yeah.
next door to his garage. And we'd go up through the village and just everybody, Charlie, Charlie, oh Charlie, everybody knew him.
When I was 15, I started going out with my first husband, Chris Tickner. The Tickners were an old Cranleigh family. Grandad Tickner was a saddler, and he had a saddling shop, which is now the handyman's stores. He used to mend people's tennis rackets, and very handy man.
There was a chap in the village called Cocker Stone Street, I think that's his name, and he was one of the founder members of the Cranleigh Eagle Speedway, Cycle Speedway. And the group of them got together and got permission to build a speedway track, and not, like a track like a bit like motorbike speedway, but not as big, obviously. And this was up in what we call the Big Copse, at the top of Womber Lane. There was a proper starting gate with a concrete slab with numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. And there was one of the gates that flies up, just like if you watch Speedway on television, you can see motorbike speedway. It was exactly the same. There'd be rope around it, and Godalming Bulldogs, Cranleigh Eagles, and there were various others. And so with these cowhorn handlebars, we called them. It was skillful, but also you had to be fit. So the fitter you were, the quicker you could be, and the longer you would last. We only did 4 circuits.
Yes, appreciate it. We came with those new estates in '65. I think we were the first one in Overford Close. We were actually in Overford Drive, called the House of the Year. Those houses in Overford Close. They're a 4-bedroomed house, but beautifully sort of compact. So we bought the house when it was only about a foot high, as you did in those days, really. I said, do you mind these new people coming in? Because we were the first of them. And an old Cranleigh said to us, it's a delight to have some young people coming in. And I must say, I'm feeling that now with newcomers coming. It's lovely to see these families, isn't it?
The reason we came to Cranleigh was my dad got the job as the GPO telephone engineer for Cranleigh. And his exchange was where La Scala was. And his switch room was at the front. The post office was underneath, and the telephonists had their exchange at the back.
Really wanted to be a telephonist, and I went off to Portsmouth, Cosm, for 6 weeks. Came home weekends, I think, to do my GPO training. And then I went to Guildford's telephone exchange for about 18 months because I had to wait for someone to either leave, die, have a baby or something in the Cranleigh exchange, which was, it eventually became La Scala restaurant.
Then I went on to become a GPO telephonist because my dad thought that was probably a good thing for me to do.
But we started Welcome to Cranleigh because we were concerned about people settling into the village, and so we invited 53. There were 53 organisations in Cranleigh at that time, and they bring a card table into the village hall, and we put invites all around the village and banners across the road, as we were allowed to in those days. Shop window displays, Mans and about 5 shops in those days gave us a whole window.
We had our own football team. We used to play friendly Sundays against other pubs mainly.
Mm-hmm. The pub had its own football team.
No, we had our own football team, but we used to play mainly pubs. It was called Beatles United.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And of course, a lot of the Cranleigh lads that I knew and such like used to play for us on a Sunday after they'd probably played Saturday for Cranleigh FC that used to play obviously on the car park here.
Right.
That's where we first played football out there. But we had our own ground up on the farm. I mean, it wasn't particularly brilliant, but it's, it was lined out and it's goalposts and all that. And we used to change in a couple of the old stables up there, you know.
Still got that village atmosphere. We mustn't call it a village, mustn't we? Yeah. mustn't call it a town. When our rector came here to Cranleigh, that was about 10-ish years ago, the current rector, he started calling it a town. He said, "I've been down to town." And we said, "No, you haven't, Rector, you've been down the village."